Talking about influencers, so there's been a lot of drama that's been stirring.
Bro, if you search my name on Google, it's just all about Jamie Zhu, like bad articles about me.
People are very susceptible and people can be manipulated very easily. A lot of the time, the things that make you feel a bit uncomfortable are actually the ones that will pay you a lot more.
If someone's buying your product, they see value. People work very hard for their money, right? And they don't split with it easy.
When I had 1 million followers on Instagram, whenever that was, 5-10 years ago, I was still broke. Bro, I've been dead broke in my social media career many times.
At any point within a social media influencer's life, they can be cancelled like that.
Being famous disappears in the blink of an eye as well.
It does.
It's a 90% failure rate. If you're a creator and you have a company that's standing, you are adding value.
If they can sleep at night, making the money and not caring, good luck to them.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. We're in a new location, as we seem to be very often, but
It's actually not worse than
it's
our
so
usual
much
one.
better, bro. It's
Like,
so good.
I'm sure you guys can see behind Bayley and Jamie,
The Harbour Bridge.
the Harbour Bridge. Sometimes
Can you see it in the shot? That's hectic.
in our past, you can Bailey. I'm
Bailey's shot.
Well, so like in the past, we've had houses that actually do have the Harbour Bridge behind us, but for some reason,
Can't see it.
the angle just doesn't work. So
Yep.
finally, we have it. It's a beautiful day.
Yep.
God's blessed us.
We're in
with
the
this
lower north shore of Sydney
amazing
today.
weather.
Yeah.
Before we get started, guys, I wanted to tell you guys something that I've actually been doing recently.
Here
The
we go.
last
Fasting.
week. No, well, I did do a fast.
Yeah.
I did a 2-day fast. That's not what I was going to talk about, which was a really good challenge for me. But I've actually been mouth taping.
Have you?
So last week I've
No
been
way.
mouth taping, right? And I've thought about this for a while, but I never ended up doing it. And then I've just recently done it for the last week. And obviously,
every night?
What was your motive for mouth tape?
so it's supposed to help a variety of things. It helps with dental hygiene, so improves cavities, bad breath. It also
you need
improves
that.
energy, so your energy levels, your quality of sleep. So REM,
'cause you're breathing
it
through your
improves
nose
your
more,
REM
right?
sleep, correct? And something you might not know, it actually gives you like a facelift. So it
facelift?
actually helps to like lift up your jaw.
so it makes you more chiseled.
Makes you more chiseled.
Right, we
Is
should
that
get
why you
around
look like
this.
10 times
Yeah.
more aesthetic? So I haven't seen you in 3 weeks.
I
So-
thought you were looking chiseled, bro.
Something's changed
So
about the
guys,
guy.
yeah, I'll
So you
put that out
recommend
there. I do recommend it. Obviously, it's still early for me to see the full
mad.
benefits, but it's definitely a little bit challenging at first because it's a bit awkward. Like you get worried about, am I gonna suffocate in my sleep? But that's not
Bro,
something.
so I've actually done it as well.
I've
and
got a
that
story.
That was
You go
the
first.
that was the one thing that was scaring me.
When
I
I
like
read
put it
about it-
on and I went to go to sleep. I was like, what if I just don't wake up?
You can't though. Your body won't let you. Your body will wake you up before you suffocate.
I know, but it's
So
still like
it
a
still wigs
intrusive
you out.
thought.
It wigs you out.
So
I
you
thought
know
the
what- you
same.
know what
I
I've-
loved it as well, though. By the way, my sleep was way better
should
after
do it
trying
again.
it.
Yeah, so I've just been actually suffering kind of like these sleeping kind of like wake ups where I just stop breathing, for example, and I have to wake up. So
You
it
might
is
need
true.
mouth tape. So,
So I have no seriously. So I have like a mouth like a splint now, which unblocks the airway. So like my jaw gets pushed forward so the air can actually travel through.
Well,
Because what can
actually-
happen is sleep apnea, where you basically like you go to sleep and something's blocking
Can't
your airway
breathe.
and you wake up, but you may have not breathed for like 30 seconds or so.
Well,
Well,
like your tongue's blocking the airway.
Yeah, or like even just fat, visceral fat or something.
Well, this works well because I'm actually launching my own mouth taping brand now.
You're definitely not.
Or maybe,
Anyways.
maybe.
Right, that's a good segue to today's episode. Actually,
is,
now
it
that you
is,
mentioned
it
you're
is.
launching your own brand.
What is our episode today?
Look, it's about social media content creators, all things brand deals, all things, is it a real job or not? Like we can
Nah,
all
it's
speak
not.
from experience. And this guy, well, actually, it is.
It's not.
But
No,
we
I'm
can all speak from experience. Now you're getting into the space as well. So it's going to be a very interesting topic. And I've got a lot to say. I'm sure you do, Chris. And then Bailey, you've got the kind of opposing perspective of you being not like an influencer, but behind the influencer, right?
Yeah, very
Well,
different lens.
Talking about influencers, so the current sphere of influencing right now in Australia has been taken over by, I guess, two main people.
Yeah.
I don't know how on top of it you guys are,
Locker
but
room chat.
but
and who
basically-
else?
You don't
Yeah.
have to gas me up. It's all right.
Locker room
Like,
chat.
yeah,
who
so
else?
it's actually not Jamie Zhu.
Okay.
So there's been
Yeah,
a lot
we
of
knew
But I was irrelevant.
there's been a lot of drama
Yeah.
that's been stirring.
Drama.
Yeah,
it has been,
drama
actually.
between someone called Anna Paul and Michaela Testa.
I think Michaela Testa
Okay.
followed me on my Christian account.
Is that your claim to fame?
Yes.
All right, what's the drama? Give us the
Well,
rundown.
Look, obviously, I don't know the whole situation because I wasn't there. But
Chris loves good
just
TikTok
from what I've
drama.
seen,
Yeah,
This
bro,
guy,
he
he's like,
loves it.
guys, podcast over, cool.
just what I've seen. Look, they're both quite well-known names in the Australian sphere, and basically, Anna Paul was really like at the top of her stardom. She's doing really
she
well.
blew up.
She's
She
launched
blew
a
up.
brand which has done really well. Like I've seen videos of her like literally closing down Sydney City, and
All right, so what's the drama?
well, essentially, Michaela Tesla's come out. They all used to be best friends. Michaela's come out and pretty much like said everything about her is fake. She's a fake person. She's actually not a nice person. She kind of like takes advantage of her fans to make money off them.
Interesting.
Just a lot of manipulation, a lot of fakeness, stuff about her brother, which I won't get into. But it just goes to show that like at any point within a social media influencer's life, they can be cancelled like that.
That's so scary. bro.
She's lost like, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers. Probably lost brand deals. Her brand's probably had a massive dip. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to see, and I'm sure everyone in Australia, because I've seen it all over social media, has been talking about this.
The thing
and
is, like,
it's
when
pretty
you get,
crazy, man.
When you get cancelled, like, because I've been cancelled a couple of times.
How many
times?
Yeah.
I'd say at least there were 2 to 3 big ones. There was when I did that tennis sex noise. There was when I faked a business class seat with a fake moon boot.
Oh, did you get cancelled for
Bro,
that?
if you search my name on Google, it's just all about Jamie Zhu, like bad articles about me. But there's a difference between like how viral it goes versus like what you've actually done and how morally corrupted it is. So, for example, when I did the tennis thing, it was kind of just like, some dickheads, come into a tennis arena, made a stupid noise and try to go viral.
What an idiot, but like
What an
whatever.
idiot. But it's not like I was
You
trying to
didn't
fake
take advantage of anyone.
I wasn't taking advantage of people. So I think when it becomes like a really succinct moral issue, that's when like people actually start to unfollow you. Whereas for me, like the followers actually grew like the other way. But I think
should
for
do
her
more of
case,
that.
Yeah. So yours was comedy. It's like another example on the
was
other end
comedy.
of the
It was like a-
spectrum
it was
was
like a
the Hawk Tour coin, and
Oh,
how
yeah.
that
Yep,
like
yep.
she essentially she got
Exploited
cancelled,
people.
but she also took millions of dollars from people.
Yep.
So that's, I guess, is that what you mean by like how that's extremely morally wrong? So
Yeah.
you get cancelled on a way bigger level.
well, it actually affects other people, right? Me doing a stupid noise doesn't affect anyone. But if I'm
it
trying
might
to
annoy
rinse your
them
bank
for
account,
an hour.
if I'm trying to rinse
There's
your
no
bank
real
account with
loss, yeah.
something, then there's a direct
It's not
loss.
like a
Plus,
proper, yeah.
Plus, it kind of like takes advantage of the goodwill and the brand that you have, where it's like, well, there's some person with influence that can corrupt the people that follow them just for their own personal self
All
gain.
right, but here you go. You did it for virality, which then again kind of is connected to eventually making money. So could you say that yours was
Yeah.
corruption too? Because technically you did it for
Ooh.
virality,
Yeah.
and eventually you could have made money off that. Even I remember you saying to me like even like there was so many news articles that were trying to contact you, and potentially some of them would have actually paid you, but you didn't actually get the payment because you just wanted to say your piece. But you know what I mean? People could see that as, hang on a
course.
sec, Jamie did, manipulate the situation. To be honest, I don't think it was that bad. I'm just saying there could be an angle where people see, okay, Jamie kind of, did something seen as negative to kind of bolster himself up and use
I
people.
think people
Yeah.
only care when it affects them, like people on a
Personally.
personal
Directly
level.
and
Like
personally.
he would have made money off like big corporations, ad revenue,
not the
views,
people
exposure.
watching the match.
I didn't set up a GoFundMe and say, hey, listen,
Yeah.
once I do this noise,
I think that's
just like someone we know, drop your bank account, drop
Yeah.
everything in your bank account into this GoFundMe. Like I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right, Bailey, because it's like corporations that pay YouTube or Facebook to then have their ads displayed before videos that then pay me. But like it's an indirect way, and as you said, I'm not directly exploiting the people. It's like, and let's be honest, like who wouldn't want to exploit those big corporations anyway? Like I'm down.
So what do you think should happen to these people that do this? Like influencers, like
It's hard, bro.
Do you,
It's
Do
hard.
you think there should be like a governing, like I'm sure there is for like right practice, but do you think they should be held accountable? Like when you're exploiting, like unfortunately these days, a lot of people are under 18 that are on social media, and so do you think they should be held accountable? Do you think they should be like sued, lose the money? Like what do you guys think? Like because
Yeah, I feel like it's a free for all.
if you own a business and you exploit people and you do the wrong thing to make money, you'll get like there's organizations that will hunt you down and make you pay one way or another, right?
I think my perspective on it is it's so new because now the businesses have a very public face attached to them, which is quite different. If you think before all this social media stuff, corporations were a name, and like dodgy stuff was happening every day. Like, you know, whether it's, you know, people putting dodgy stuff in the food they're producing, cut corners, everything's cutting costs. How can I get maximum upside? So this stuff was always happening, but now it's happening on person to person, and there's a face to target, which is why it's so different, I think.
And I feel like it's also was maybe like a bit more hush hush. Like there'll be like a payout behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a massive company which has been doing it for ages, like you're seeing Coles and Woolies have got, you know, done for like price manipulation.
Yeah.
I think then that gets on the news, and then that's a big thing.
But then
a lot of them
it's
will
only a
just
hit
pay
to a
up.
corporation, not like one specific person, unless they go
Correct.
to the CEO or anything.
Correct.
But this is a whole new world. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Jamie, you were here at the start, and even you were at the start of it, but it's still only like a 10-year industry, which is like,
I think
mental.
it's a very valid topic, and I think this kind of ties into what we're going to speak about next about creators actually making money and how much people like us make.
Yeah.
Not that we're going to disclose exact numbers, but I think it's gotten to a point where, you know, the landscape of being like a social media creator has been, firstly, it was so new, then to the point where brands were like, you know, hesitant to even invest in influencers, to then brands throwing like every single dollar spent on marketing into influencers, and then influencers making their own products. So there's all these different verticals, right? And what I've found personally is that when you do create your own thing, like many of us have or are about to, or like Anna Paul has, for example, regardless of how morally, you know, intact it is, there's always going to be a risk of you selling something and people not liking it. So yes, you can obviously go down the route of corrupting your audience for, say, revenue, but then you can also make something that is of value. Like, there's been a lot of, say, like even the fitness blokes, you know, you can say, oh, this guy made an app for money. Of course he did, because you have to have money to survive in a business, but it also helps people.
Yeah, probably transform thousands of lives.
Exactly. So like, you know, Zach Pern and Mike Thurston, I know that their apps are quite like legitimate, and I'm sure,
They're
as you
good
said,
people
Bailey,
as
they're
well.
good people. So it's all about, I guess, like, and I don't try to make everything spiritual or religious, but it's like, if you have good morals and if you really try and stick to, you know, for me, I have like the fear of God. So everything and anything I create, I want to make sure that it is for the right purpose, because you can get blindsided by the dollars. I've been asked to do many things where they're like, Jamie will pay you like 100K or other 6-figure amounts. And I'm about to say no, because it just doesn't like literally, it will tarnish my brands, and I
I know
can't
a
do
guy
it with people.
who'd take those. So like,
Do you?
yeah,
What's
let me
his
know
name?
and I'll hook him up.
Does he like often have like a fresh cut?
I
He's
don't
wearing
know. I don't know the
a
ins and
white
outs,
shirt right
you know,
now.
I
He's
don't know
got one
the
leg
details.
up on the table, one
I don't
leg
know
down.
the details, but I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
have a friend.
All right, so should we discuss the business side of things?
Yeah, like how much money do
people
creators actually make?
Before we
Wait,
go there, before we go to the dollars people make, do you think influencers, from our experience and what we know, do they usually
like,
bring
that's
out a
so weird.
product? Do influencers usually bring out a product just like whatever it is? They don't really care too much about the product. They just launch a product because they want to make money and they have
Yes.
some engagement
course.
and attention and eyeballs on them right now? Or do they wholeheartedly believe in a product and it just so happens that they have a following that they can leverage?
It's both. It's both.
I personally, from my experience, I think a lot of influencers do, like I'd say 80% at least, just will launch anything that they think can make them money. And then maybe later on they do fall in love with it, sure, and they have, you know, a bit more emotion towards it. But generally speaking, if you were to say, like, I would say they could go to a business professionalist and go, tell me what product's going to make me money, and I don't give a fuck what it is.
All right, so I have an interesting perspective on
Me
this.
too.
So I actually worked for a company where I did this. I built people's brands
Yeah, so
who had an
good
audience,
to hear what
launched
you
their
think.
products. And I think when you have an audience, humans by nature are opportunistic,
Yeah.
right? And we always identify opportunities based on the lens we're adopting. If you know you have an audience, you're always on the hunt for how can I leverage this?
Yeah,
Just
of
it's a
course.
natural bias, especially if you don't have a corporate job or anything. Anyone who has an audience, you can't help but think, okay, well, like, can I monetize this? Should I use it to help people? Spread it, even if it's just, oh, I'm spreading a positive message. That's your way of leveraging your audience, right? I do think that a lot of the people that I worked with did have a genuine like bias to like, okay, I have an audience, how can I leverage it? But at the same time, these people have their personal name on the line. So a lot of the time there was good intentions, but it was very skewed towards what will make me the most money, and I don't really care what it is, but there will be a line where they're like, okay, and it can't be like something that's actually
But
has
is
to
it
be legit.
But is it good intentions or they just don't want to tarnish their name? Right, that's the difference.
Okay.
Because you said they're putting their face behind it, but that just means that they don't want to embarrass themselves or
Yeah.
be seen as taking advantage of people or in a negative light. So that's very different to genuinely wanting to help people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think it's-
because people would put people would take the risk to help people, knowing that it could affect their page or whatever it is, but they know that it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? There is a difference.
There's such a fine line, bro. And I'll talk from experience here as well. I think where I'm at currently in my social media career, like, you know, I've been doing it for a long, long time. And I think the way that I've mainly been able to source income is through these deals, right? And you could well and say that, like, oh, you know, I'm going to create, like, people that create a product, for example, that isn't 100% top notch are doing the wrong thing. I'm not saying anyone said that, but I'm saying that that could be a perspective you come from. But then again, like, if you're on the flip side, not making a product, not making your own service, but you're promoting all these brands you don't care about, it's kind of the same thing. You're still doing it for money. And some of the brands that you promote may go against your own values. I'll give you an example. I've been doing, you know, a couple of deals over the last year. And as I said, like, they've been big ones. But I'm at the point now where I don't want to continually have to sort of like rely predominantly on other companies for a source of income, because I feel like I'm genuinely, bro, like, I'm not saying every company, but some, I feel like I'm selling
yourself
my
out.
soul.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be doing that. I'd much rather invest time and energy into something that I enjoy doing, something that also provides the audience value. And yes, I'm personally doing it the right way, because for me, I love social media education. So I'm creating some sort of academy out of that and some sort of consulting service because I'm good at it and people want it anyway. But I think if you look at like someone on social media that's trying to build a career, think about guys that are, you know, preaching, say, Christianity. YouTube and Facebook may not pay them a cent because their content's too controversial. So if these guys want to continually have a voice, but they have to support their business somehow, how do they do it? Yeah, you can say charities, you can say donations, you can say the church might help them, all these things, but the reality is they're a functioning business.
Yeah,
So
gotta
how
make
are
a
they
living.
going to sustain themselves? And people like that, I believe, are doing it for the right reasons. They're trying to preach the gospel. That's great. But if the social media platforms are canceling you, plus no brands want
Such
to
a
work
grey
with you
area, bro.
because
In
you're
mind.
too edgy, then what do you do?
But then
Then this goes into like, oh, well, then should pastors be making money?
But then do you drop the ball and then just like at that point of what you just talked about, then do you just kind of go, all right, this might not be aligned with my morals, but I just need to make money now to
No.
support my godly path.
It ties back to the morals, bro. It ties back to what you're doing has to inherently come from a good place. That's what I think we're all on the same page as. Like, regardless of what you do, whatever brand you promote, whatever business that you establish, it has to come from a good place. And at the end of the day, bro, you can have the best business in the world, but you're still going to get haters saying that you're a sellout. So it's kind of like a lose-lose in some aspects.
Right, talking about money though, would you say the morally correct ways are always the most fruitful?
No,
See, that's the issue, right?
definitely not.
A lot of the time, the things that don't align or maybe make you feel a bit uncomfortable are actually the ones that will pay you a lot more.
Yeah.
And that comes to the person's character and again, back to your morals and
Yeah.
who you
So you're
are.
saying where's the line?
Where's the line
yeah.
between like, I need to make money and feed my family and whatever it is to, I know this brand's nice
Yeah.
and it's going to suit my morals. I'll take a cut and just kind of do this kind of thing.
I'm going to admit something. At the very start of my career, I pumped the brand deals.
I was
bro.
hoping you'd do this.
I did
you've
way
had both
too many.
sides.
I did way too many because when I first started making videos in 2014, it took me 2 years to actually establish somewhat of a presence, you could say.
Yeah.
And
So you
then-
went like 2 years without really making any money.
2 years, no money. And then in 2016, it all just started popping off, right? And I got hit up by all these brands. I got hit up by all these people.
Random shit like African moisturizing
Not that far.
toe cream.
But like, for example, at this point,
I
at
remember
this
that one.
point in my career, what?
No, I'm kidding.
News to me, unless you did it for me.
Yeah.
At this point in my career, right? Think of the mindset someone's in. So in my case, I've been working for 2 years,
Yeah.
pumping out content,
Investing
filming
every
single
minute
day,
into
investing
filming.
every minute. Bro, I'm delivering pizzas 5 nights a week. I'm on Centrelink. I'm getting my dads
You
to help
see
me
a
with
big
money.
check and you're like,
And I'm working at an ice cream store. Like 4 jobs, you could say. Not at the same time, but around that time.
And a brand says 10K for a video,
Then
which you're already doing for free.
Then, at that point, my YouTube wasn't earning any money. Facebook wasn't monetized either. and I suddenly get all these followers, and everyone's like, I love your content. Everyone, is starting to enjoy it. At what point do you say, okay, I'm going to continue being a pizza delivery driver 5 days
very
a week,
hard.
working at an ice cream store, being on Centrelink, just so I can conserve my brand? Or do I maybe do a couple deals here and there that won't piss off the entire audience, that the audience won't, everyone's not going to see, only a few people will, but it might tarnish my brand. Now, what did I choose? I went probably the wrong way. I went too hard with the brands. Even considering I was promoting a essay plagiarism service for about 3 years straight. That wasn't good of me. I'll fully admit that. But I think me compared to someone like, for example, Nelk Boys, who started the same time as me, they haven't touched a single brand in their life until 10 years later. Not that I advocate for their content, because it's, a little bit crazy. Not my thing anymore.
Pretty
But
entertaining though.
yes, for sure. But look how far they've gone, and look at the time and the place that they actually incorporated their own brand versus.
Well, they had
I'll be real, like-
authenticity with their audience.
Exactly. And I did way too many, to the point where people used to call me the brand deal guy. So I fully learned from that. And now I'm learning from that mistake, and I'm actually trying to provide people value with
That's a
something
big
else.
lesson for people, because at the rate we're going, the percentage of people that are becoming creators is growing every single day. So the chances are that even big tech software companies have full-time positions, like high-level paying roles for people just to create content. You
Yeah.
have to be like specialists in their field. Like that's the new play. There's a bunch of software companies that are worth a lot of money, and their big play is how do we go viral in content.
Yeah.
So content is the future. It's just about figuring out, where's that line? How does it
Yeah.
work for you? Because I have a strong belief that after working with so many companies, some that go skyrocket within making a couple $100K in a few months, and some that flop and make no money. And I genuinely believe that we as humans are very good at determining what's valuable for us. And bias is subjective. Is it subjective? Like, it's your own
subjective.
perspective.
Subjective.
So one man's trash is another man's treasure, for example. So I'll give you a story. This guy, back when eBay was big, bought, I think, 20 items for all under $1 each. And he paid professional script writers and storytellers to write a story about each of these items. He put the items back up on eBay with the story attached to them and made $6,700.
Wow.
Meaning that attaching a story and emotion to something adds value in a way that you might not see. And I believe that just because you're a creator and you think they might be doing it for the money and things, if someone's buying your product, they see value. Whether it's in you as a person, they want to support you, whether it's they're going to get status from wearing your brand, your image, or by associating with a certain group by buying your product, people will not spend the money if they don't see the value. So if you're making money, the person on the other side is getting value because there's thousands of options. And I believe that if you're actually making money through social media, people are getting value in their own way. You might not recognize the value, but to that person, people work very hard for their money, right? And they don't split with it easy.
Yeah.
If someone's making a lot of money, they are adding value to the marketplace. Companies fail every single day. It's a 90% failure rate. If you're a creator and you have a company that's standing, you are adding value. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I want to put something to you. So I was just thinking that what is the difference between a company that is morally correct and is doing it for the right reasons as opposed to one that's not? And I was going to initially say, over time, the ones that are not morally correct will fizzle out, and you'll see that the ones that actually have longevity and are successful, people can kind of see that the people that are running this or the company's philosophies are good, and they support them, and they're from a place of love and trying to help and improve people's lives. But to be honest, I don't think that's always the case, because as we just have talked about, people are very susceptible and people can be manipulated very easily. If you study human psychology, you will know and you will see that there's ways to manipulate people to making them think that you're in it for the right reasons, your products are, for the greater people and blah, 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 blah. But as we know, it's not always the case. So how do you differentiate? How do you know? How do you know if this is a company that's morally good?
I don't think
Or
you
not.
can.
You're
I think
you're
it's
never going to
great.
know. Because the bad guys also win.
That's the thing.
Like,
So-
I think what Bayley said, people can get value from something even if you don't get value from the same thing. Even if the company's not doing the right thing, someone still might be getting some sort of value from it, which is why they're willing to, empty their bank account for something they believe in.
So for example, we
No, no,
example. I was going to say, for example, right? These, traditionally we've come from farms. Let's take eggs as a product. Now we have the cage, thousands. They have these slaughterhouses and farms where, like, when you look at it objectively,
vegans
like
getting triggered.
But like,
Sorry, vegans. I used to be
they're
vegan.
farming these chickens. They're injecting them with steroids. They're manufacturing them to meet the market demand for eggs, and we all love them. But you're going to buy cage eggs. Obviously, if you wanted to sit down morally and say they're actually, I guess, in a way, like abusing these animals.
Yeah.
But it solves a market problem where like the world needs eggs.
Yeah.
Is that then against like, should that be cut down? Because they're technically meeting market demand in a way
Can I add something to that?
yeah.
So I know from I've heard that back onto the point of like the storytelling, the kind of setting the image for the people, there's actually no difference between caged eggs and uncaged eggs. It's all caged. They're all treated the actual same.
You mean free range?
Not free range, caged eggs. So caged eggs are the ones that they put them into really
Battery
small
hens.
Battery. What is it?
Battery hens.
Yeah. So they put them
What,
into
they're fake?
tiny.
No, they're just called battery farms. So they're,
So they're
as Chris
battery
said,
farms, so like they're very
tiny
little. The
cages.
whole idea behind it is they give them the people that advertise that it's cage free. The chickens have a better quality of life, so they get to roam around, they get to enjoy their lives
Yeah.
while they're making the eggs, as opposed to being like 10 of them stuck in a little box and they're treated really badly. But funnily enough, they're all the same. Even the cage free ones are the exact same.
Yeah, maybe they are.
But they sell you the story of cage free and then makes you feel like, oh, I'm supporting a better cause. But at the end of the day, as you said, everyone's just getting eggs. Everyone needs eggs. Everyone's just getting eggs. So whether you choose that or that, it doesn't really matter. But you're still getting a service that you're getting something from.
Exactly. So back to the question then, like we're saying these creators, maybe they not have the best of intentions, but realistically, as I was saying, they're meeting a market demand. Is it fine then? Because they're supplying market needs.
Well, then you can obviously...
You've got to
Chris-
live with that, right? I think it's a
as-
personal thing. It depends. Sorry, Jamie. It depends on the person. If they can sleep at night,
Yeah.
making the money and not caring how it affects people, or if they're doing the right thing, good luck to them. At the end of the day, the people are going to buy. Consumers are going to buy whatever it is. If they need it, they're going to buy it. But I think that just comes to a personal level of like,
Yeah. What
what do you feel like? Do you feel like you're doing the right thing? Whether it's to your God, to your family, to yourself, are you okay with the way you're conducting business? And if you're okay with that, great. But if you're not, then that's just a decision you have to make, right? I think it's a
100%.
more of a personal thing at that point.
So should we talk about how much creators are, like what the future is, how much people are actually making?
We can give some ballpark statistics.
Jamie's
not even ourselves,
ballpark.
but like-
I know a friend of mine that makes
Like
bro, we know. Okay, let's talk about a high end.
primes.
Let's talk about a high end, bro. Like top tier influencers.
In
You get-
Australia or America, because there's a big
Let's
difference.
just talk worldwide because we don't know what
Okay.
everyone's
I heard a
talking.
statistic that David Dobrik gets paid $500K US for one SeatGeek deal per video.
See that goes to show, bro.
That's mental.
He's at the top tier of influencers in the world, right? You got your David Dobrik's, Nelk Boys, Logan Paul. These guys are top tier, and let's just ballpark $500K to $1 million for a post or a gig or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that everyone earns this much. And it's actually, the 1% that earn this crazy amount. And Jamie can attest to this from his experience in being in it for so long. But it doesn't mean everyone's making this. It doesn't mean, as Jamie said, for 2 years he was making content. Yes, he was early, but 2 years he was making content and making $0.
Yeah.
So listening to this, it's not like every influencer is killing it. And maybe comes back to the perception of everyone, on social media makes it seem like their life's amazing and they're
Can I
living this luxurious life.
So something big that we focus on is market positioning, and we've spoken to you guys about this a lot, the team and I. I won't mention their names, but I have like a pretty good team that specializes in specifically positioning. And so what that means is like you can say to yourself, okay, say you're a company, say you're Coca-Cola, you want to find 10 influencers that each have say 5 million followers each, right? As a hypothetical. You might put these 5 people together and be like, cool, exactly the same metrics, maybe even the same demographics, But then what actually justifies person A getting paid twice as more than person B or C, right? Because it does happen. In the influencer landscape, people assume that because this person has 1 million followers, therefore they're killing it, they're rich, they're driving the Lambo, they're living that dream materialistic life. But it's very far from the truth, because when I had 1 million followers on Instagram, whenever that was, 5-10 years ago, I was still broke. I've been dead broke in my social media career many times over the last 10 years.
That's crazy.
And I've got, 10 million followers, and I've been broke a couple of times.
Followers means nothing
Exactly.
a lot of the time.
Exactly. So it's all about your brand. And I think what we spoke about before in terms of like how to actually create a brand of firstly like longevity, but also of brand value and trust, separate conversation. So positioning wise, back to my first point, is that why would a brand go with person A versus person D if they have the same followers? It's because of the credibility is one thing, and it's also because of the brand value that they bring to the advertisement that they're going to be involved in. If you saw someone,
their audience as well.
Yes, there's so many factors. So if I don't know if there are many influencers out here that are trying to.
Sorry, let's give an example. This will be easy for you to do. An example of if Coca-Cola was going to go to you or me and we had the same metrics. I make couple content.
Let's use another example.
No, because I was going to say, you make documentaries about Coca-Cola. That would be a lot more valuable than them doing a couple video with me. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
alignment. It's brand alignment.
It aligns better with
let's
them.
say for example, like there's someone that does like even like the makeup space and the female lifestyle space is huge. So let's say female lifestyle vlogger and like a guy that makes pranks. Same followers, same everything. In fact, the guy that makes pranks might have even better engagement, but the female influencer might get paid 5 times more. It's because brands don't want to associate themselves with people that have a bad image. That's one thing. The second thing is obviously if you talk about ROI, if you're building a personal brand, say you're more on long form as well, so the viewers get to know you personally a little bit better, then they know that the audience trusts and the call to action will be so much more greater and more profitable than someone that may have crazy engagement, but they're only watched for 15 seconds a week.
100%.
So if you put those two people together, same audience, same amount of followers, even the other guy, the prankster having more engagement, they're going to go with the other person and pay them 5 times more because of all those factors. It's not just about the numbers. So when people say, oh, this person followers, wow, they must be killing it. Like, bro, I would say the people that I know in Australia, most of them from like a ballpark figure wouldn't be making more than maybe, and I'm not saying this is bad, but like wouldn't be making more than 200K a year. And they could have millions and millions of followers because they haven't kind of like solidified their brand. And then also on top of that, I believe that making your own product or service, hopefully in the right way, will bring you a lot more success financially as well.
I want to add something, sorry, and then I want Bayley to finish because he can say it from a point of like he gets to decide on influencers for a certain brand and it'll be a good insight. But I know for a fact, for myself, getting close to 1 million followers, and I know people that are like say a mum, right? She's got a mum's page which does say makeup, beauty stuff, say 20,000 followers, right? 20,000 followers, but it is niche. It's like 95% women, demographic, and they're all invested because they're all usually mums and women that are going to be mums.
Yeah.
Now, that audience, whilst is a lot smaller, is a lot more attractive to a lot of say female brands or whatever because they know if they give a brand deal to that woman, she's got 20,000 people who are ready to go. 20,000 people to buy a product is fucking crazy. Whereas I've got close to 1 million, but maybe 100 of them are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say 1,000 of them are mums.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. It's 1 million followers. But she's got 20,000 niche followers that are just solely there for the one reason, the niche. So that's a lot more attractive to brands.
Another factor.
It's also association. Like the human race has evolved on hierarchy, leadership, association, status, and your association with mums is very different than a mother's association with mums. So even psychologically, they're gonna that association will influence their buying decisions. But I was gonna say, tying back to the main topic with creators and building business and things, I think the way views, payments, and the social media is going, the only way you can make a creator lifestyle or creator-led brand image work is if you have your own business.
There you go, guys.
Because And I've seen it a lot of times. Obviously, got a lot of insight on people's numbers and things, having worked with a lot of people. But it actually, even us starting this podcast, it costs a lot of money to be invested in content, put all your time into it, build an audience. It takes so much effort that the investment to payout ratio without a business attached to it, most of the time doesn't make sense. So if you're not looking to eventually monetize, having an audience really isn't that valuable.
Doesn't mean anything.
And brand deals, yes, sure, brand deals come and go. Without something that's
It's inconsistent.
attached to yourself, a piece of you that you're adding value to the marketplace, I personally think is the only way. And it's the only way you can justify the cost of production. Jamie, you don't even know this as well. Unless you can monetize that production cost, like, you have to pay filmers, editors.
It's so
doing all that
expensive,
yourself.
bro.
It is so much more expensive than you realize. You can only offset that cost if you're monetizing through a business, because you can leverage it through, revenue, equity, whatever that looks like. That's the only way you can justify it. Really, from what I've seen, it doesn't make sense any other way.
Look at Mr. Beast. I know he's at the top tier, but he'll get paid $1 million for a brand. He'll put $1 million into the next video. You know what I mean? But yes, he's not out of pocket. But
And he's gone into
that
building
money.
his
He's
own business as
monetized.
well.
Exactly. He's got so many brands now. But he gets paid money that he uses then to keep his business going.
All right,
Yeah.
so what's the conclusion? Do you guys think if people are listening, should they start going down the content route? If they did, what mistakes have you guys made, or lessons would you give to people to get started, and how should they go about it? And what do you think the future is? Do you think
I'll
it's a
let Jamie
creative
go.
future, or do you think it's a fad?
I think I would advise people to go down the content creator route if it was for a reason where they felt like something about their nature or the content they create can bring genuine value to other humans. But I
Do
would
you
say
think anyone can bring value to other humans?
no.
Okay.
But I would say if you're just doing it
To be
try and be
famous.
famous, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's completely the wrong reasons. Now you can still want to be famous, but have a genuine desire to, say, entertain or educate, whatever it is, and that's okay, I guess. But the more you focus on just being famous, and look, I've done it before as well, 100%.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Do you think the
It's-
desire
it's
to be
not
famous is
good.
what gets people into content?
Yes.
Yes, a lot of
much
the
of the
time.
time.
So how
I'd
can
say a lot of the
how
time.
can you disassociate?
Because
those
it has to start from a deeper foundation than that. So, for example, if you're a maths teacher and you know you're good at maths and you can help people do that, then you may still want to have that notoriety, but that notoriety may not just be about people glorifying you. It could actually be to help influence more people to get good at maths.
And we've told you your 5-6 year down the track what to expect. Like, say you get into it to be famous and you get famous and you get followers. We're telling you now that doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, you're 15, you're 20, whatever you are. In 5 years' time, you're going to be at a point where you need money.
And bro, let me tell you,
And if you're just famous after that 20 years or 25 or 30, whatever you are, you still need to make money. So we're telling you, it doesn't just mean followers equals money.
Yeah.
So there has to be genuine want
Bigger
to
plan
do
to
something,
it.
a bigger plan to it than just be famous.
Yeah.
Because once you've got it, it's like, all right, what now?
yeah, but bro, people don't understand the fact that like being famous disappears in the blink of an eye as well.
It does.
Like, look at me now. Like, people still know me and stuff, but compared to like 5 years ago, it's night and day difference. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I think that if you're just reliant upon that, then you're going to be shattered 5 years down the track when you've been doing the same thing over and over just to be famous, and maybe you have been for a few years, but then that all leaves you because people forget the new person comes in. You might get to 40 years old, no one cares about you. Genuinely.
Yeah, it moves quick.
And I've found this myself. Like it goes like that, bro. Like I'm still around, whatever. But like my old life compared to now is like 1% of what it used to be, So I think the second part to you, Bailey, was how should they go about it? And I think, yes, learn from my mistakes. Don't just go into it and take the first brand deal. Really care about the impact and the influence you have on the people watching you,
Yeah, that's good
because
advice.
it's so much more than you actually think. Like I couldn't understand why people would come up to me being like, Jamie, like you changed my life. I'm like, how? I'm just a regular bloke. But
Yeah.
that's how people perceive you sometimes. And if you're not careful with that influence, you can lead people down a very dark path. So I would advise people to
Influence is
stick
power.
to, what you're bringing value into the marketplace, because then you'll be inherently rewarded for it. And don't jump the gun, but create your own business and make sure the business has some sort of value.
Yeah. And I want to add to that. Also, at the same point, don't just look for the dollars. I know we've talked about having a plan and thinking about money, but it's not about the dollars. I think if you are curious about social media and becoming an influencer, it's a great angle. It's a great direction to go into. There's a lot of opportunity, but you have to be in it for the right reasons, in the sense that, like, if you're a funny guy and you want to make people laugh, great. If you're talented at something and you want to display it for other people to be amazed by your skills, great. Like, look at Speed. Speed, there's videos of Speed where he was doing content for years and years. He's, I'd say, the biggest influencer in the world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like 3-4 years in, and he's like, I've got 100 followers, I've got 1,000 followers, and then something just clicked and made
Really?
it. But yeah, there's
Oh my
really
gosh.
cool videos, right? And something clicked, but he didn't stop. He knew that he just wanted to be himself, a character, make people laugh, do funny shit, and eventually, if it's meant to be, the fame, the virality, the money will come. But if you actually just do it because you want to make people, you want to make an impact on people, you want to put something else out there in the world that's not already there, then I definitely recommend it. It's a really good industry, and if you don't do it now, you're gonna miss out, because this is the time. This is the influencer time.
Nice.
It's the best time to be an influencer right now. So yeah, I definitely do recommend it if your heart's in the right place.
We don't actually know how long the influencer landscape is going to be around for, right? It's been around for 10 years already. The next thing could just come out tomorrow. But what you have to realize is that if you're going to do this, do it now, but make sure that your number one focus is to provide people that value and that gift or talent that you have. And the side effect will be that sort of money and the influence you can have, but don't focus on that, and just make sure you're focusing on the number one priority, which is like serving your audience.
Awesome. Perfect way to wrap it up. That was a good episode.
Well done, guys.
It was, yeah.
Love it. We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.